I'm John Nelms. I wanted to come to you today to talk to you about something rather than take the time to sit down and write about it. So if you'll give me just a few minutes of your time, probably 3 to 5 minutes, I would appreciate it. I think you'll be glad you did because you're going to learn some things through this that you won't see on the news. I sent out a letter not too long ago, a few days ago, saying that I always feel like I'm a beggar, coming to you with needs for this. And then I got to thinking that, the Lord hadn't blessed our ministries so much, we wouldn't even know about these needs. And if he had not brought you to us and us to you, then you wouldn't know about these needs through us. Please remember that this is not for us, it's for God's servants around the world. And he's blessed you and me. I mean, we're in the greatest, wealthiest nation that's ever existed on the planet. And he's given us an abundance, not because we deserve it, but so that we can use it for his glory. I know that the majority of you would agree with me on that 100%. First of all, many of you know our pastor in India, in Andhra Pradesh, named Ananda Kumar. Ananda passed away this week. Now, this brother has been badly sick for many, many years, but God allowed us to work with him. He's developed a group of preachers. He has a Bible Institute. He has a church. Brother Eddie Wilson and George Zaris used him to promote the preaching of the gospel on television in India. Ananda actually came here and filmed, I think, about 50, if I'm not mistaken, sermons. Can you imagine that, standing day after day for about a week or so just preaching to a camera? Ananda had been very, very sick. We knew he was in the hospital. We knew he had COVID. It looked like he was recovering. Then he went into a coma. And this week, I think it was 2 days ago, he hadn't come out of the coma, but the doctors had tested him again. He tested negative finally for COVID. So they consulted the family and said, we need to move him from this COVID hospital to a non-COVID hospital. And in the process of doing that, he passed away. So we rejoice with Ananda, the man with the biggest smile of any person I've ever known in my life, just a hilarious guy to talk to, filled with the joy of the Lord, a great compassion. He's the one that does all of our leper ministries in India. Not all of them, but a lot of them. We have a ministry there for elderly women, taking care of widows and orphans, so to speak. He handles that. And the reason we have that ministry and the leper children's ministry is because he started those and asked us if we would please help them. So we've been helping them. I want you to know that those ministries are going to continue. About a month ago, we hired his daughter, who we call Joy. Her name is about that long, actually, so we just take part of it and call her Joy. And she works for Touch of Life in India now, in that state of India. And so she'll keep the ministries going, but it's another burden that's going to be on our back. Because one thing that we were not supporting that Ananda had started was an orphanage that has, I believe, 89 children.
They kept on begging us and requesting us. So we decided to invite all of them. So these all children need some kind of food and some place to stay. By the grace of God, we are able to build this building for staying, and we are also sending them to school. This is a great need, and if you are able, please extend your helping hand. Thank you so much, brothers.
He's been taking care of that himself from his poverty. And now he's not here to do that anymore. So we're going to have to step up and take the responsibility of feeding and clothing and caring for these nearly 100 orphans. He rented a building or built a building for them that will hold 100. He has 87. I asked him why. He said, because I can't afford 100. So we need to do that, and you need to help us or we're not going to be able to do it. So pray for Ananda Kumar's family as they grieve, and for the churches over there. I don't know how many emails I've gotten from preachers in India who don't know that I already know. And they're letting me know that this giant in the faith, as far as they're concerned, has passed away, to pray for them. So please do that. Ananda Kumar. Now I want to talk to you about something else that's very pressing in India, and that is the death rate of the COVID. We got a letter from Pastor Solomon, don't want to say his last name, and he talks about the different church members they have that are in the hospital right now. One of them is a man whose first name is Kempana, who's a supported preacher, who was in the hospital for COVID, but thank God he was healed, and they have some needs to pay for his hospital bills over there. I forgive me, but I don't think that's one we've paid off yet. I think that's a new one that's come to us that's around $1,200 or $1,500. The church members had to take him to a private hospital because the government hospital was full. So they did their best. They went out and they borrowed money. The church members borrowed monies. And it's not like borrowing money here where you might pay 5% or 8% or whatever it is. In developing countries, you borrow money and it can be 15, 20% a month. I don't know what it is in India, but I know that's common in developing countries. So these church members have burdened themselves down with money to save the life of their pastor. $1,500 is not a lot to us in America, but it's a lot in India, where these church members probably make $1 to $2 a day income. $1,500 is a lot. They'll lose their house. They'll lose anything they have if this bill is not paid for. Also, he lets us know that another pastor named Thomas, along with his wife, were tested positive. Thomas recovered, but his wife also passed away on the evening of May the 17th. Then he mentions one more preacher, and his name is Murthy, and he tested positive for COVID. He's being quarantined at his home. They asked prayer for him. So this is one group in India that I'm talking about. Not all the preachers around the world, just one group in India that suffered this much. And that's just as much as 3 days ago. I don't know what else has happened between now and then. Then we got letters from Thomas Mayer, a bunch of them, in the southern part of India. And he writes about the problems that they're having there and the need that the government has to cremate the bodies so that they're not decomposing outdoors and spreading more disease. He does tell me, though, that he says that their greatest need is food and medicine for the people in the villages. He says, we have provided food for over 1,904 people so far. And this report's a few weeks old. He said, we need money to buy medicines for fever, cold, cough, and body pain. He says, all the ICU units in the hospitals are closed. All of them. It's because they're full. Now patients are having to, well, first they put them in beds. Then they put them on the floor in the rooms. And when those two options were full, now they make patients stay outside. They lay on the sidewalk. And throughout the day, doctors and nurses go out, give them medicine or take their temperature or whatever, or call the morgue to come to get those who passed away. So you actually have people laying on the street outside in the heat, in the rain, whatever's taking place. He says, according to the local news today, every hour in India, over 3,000 people die because of the COVID. They don't have medicine, they don't have the oxygen. All the major hospitals and clinics are closed. They're not sufficient beds for everyone. He says, apart from that, we don't have transportation for domestic rides. People have no work, so they have no money to buy food or vegetables. What he's talking about, the transportation, isn't their own personal cars, because most of them don't have a car. It's the buses that if you live in one village, but you work in a field or a factory 15 miles away, you get there by bus. Well, the buses aren't running. So therefore, the people can't work. They don't have any money. It adds to the problem. Thomas is a very organized man, very good administrator. So he's divided the region, the area where he's at, into 215 different taluks, they call them, which we would say regions. And he's got at least one pastor in each of those regions that he is assigned to be his guy that he can pass food along to or money for food, and then they will make sure it goes out. Instead of putting it in the hands of an NGO that's going to spend it on something else, we're dealing directly, as we always do, through the local church, letting the pastor oversee things. So he wants us to know that each of these regions need about $300 to take care of the hunger needs that they had there. But that's 215 regions at $300 each. If I did my math right, That's $64,500 that they're asking for just to buy food to keep people alive. He wants me to know that these are very carefully selected, God-fearing pastors, and that whatever support we give will go 100% for those needs. Then he followed that up, just a week or so later with this report. He acknowledges a wire that we had sent him already, that he received it. He tells me that at that time that he has in his Bible school 2 of his teachers and 2 of his students and 3 pastors that are in private hospitals undergoing medication. He says we have spent about just shy of $4,000 so far. It's too much money to my ability, he says. That's 2 teachers, 2 students, and 3 pastors in a private hospital. I know what you're thinking. Why do they put them in a private hospital? Why not go to the government hospital where they can be treated free of charge? Because the government hospitals are either full or shut down. They don't have medicine like we have it here. They're not able or weren't prepared to produce enough of it to take care of their people. So the people are suffering as a result. He's already been able to raise money to take care of 14 of the regions. That means from somewhere he came up with $4,200, but he still needs the balance of, about $60,300. You got some spare money lying around? If you think I'm coming to you with a lot of requests for help, I'm only coming to you because they came to me. And this isn't all of them by any means. I wish it was. We have requests from all over the world. Listen, this is a hard time. The Bible does tell us at the end days there's going to be lots of problems, earthquakes, famines, wars, and so forth. Is this the beginning? I don't know. Hope it is for our sake. But there's a lot going on around the world, and God's blessed us now as a country. We have the medicine. We're able to move about freely now, uncovered, thank God. But in the rest of the world, it's not that way. My wife and I are leaving in a week from tomorrow, I think it is, to go to the other side of the world. We'll have to wear a mask on the airplane all 23 hours. When we get in the other airport for a 3 or 4 hour layover, have to keep the mask on. That's just how it is in the rest of the world. So I'm coming to you today asking for your help. And I'll be honest with you, when I got all these messages a few days ago, it just hit me hard. I wanted to do it then, but I didn't know if I could get through a filming of it. And so I've had a few days for my evil conscience to harden up and not be so badly affected by it or emotionally affected. But these are our brothers and sisters. They're our family. And we can't help them if you don't provide the money. So would you consider doing it? And if you can't, would you at least consider praying that God will move in the hearts of those who can, so that we can take care of this need for them? And hopefully before too long, India will be like the U.S. and it won't be such a devastating problem any longer. In the meantime, we have, I started to say scores of pastors dying, and that might be an exaggeration, but it might not be. We'll know later today and tomorrow as we get more reports in. So God's people are in a terrible, terrible position right now. And so I'm asking you to help them. Thanks so much for enduring this more than 5 minutes with me. God bless you. Bye-bye.